Dave, I wanted to tell you something important.
Let's go. You're wasting time. Let's go.
Let me tell you, when I say it's important, it's important.
Let's go.
We can't move if I've not told you what I want to tell you.
Okay, fine. What's up?
Went to the doctor the other day. And,
Yeah?
we are pregnant.
You're pregnant?
We are pregnant.
You and who?
You and I are pregnant. Why are you laughing? It's not funny, and I'm not joking.
Yo, stop your jokes. Let's just... We're getting late. Stop it. We're getting late.
By the way, I'm not joking. We are pregnant.
Tiffany, we're getting... Stop it.
I know we're getting late, but this is important. We are pregnant.
You and who?
You and I.
I don't remember.
What do you mean you don't remember?
Yeah, that's not my child. Stop it. Stop your jokes. It's not funny anymore. Stop it.
After all we shared, you will come and tell me that you don't remember.
After all we shared, where? When?
You said you loved me.
When?
You said you cared for me.
Are you talking about the party?
Yes, I'm talking about the party.
You got me wasted. I don't remember a thing.
I do not care if you remember or not. We are pregnant. Here is the evidence.
That's not my child. Stop faking things. This joke is over. Let's go. Come on. You've pranked me. By the way, dude. You've got me. Let's just go. Come on. Tiffany. Twende. Acha hizo. Let's go.
By the way, Miss Kuchizei.
Okay.
Niko na ball. Nani yako.
Stop it.
Simple. Unataka niseme na...
It's not my child. Stop it.
Why would I be lying to you though?
We did it just once. Once.
What do you mean we did it just once? It happened that once, and now we are pregnant.
You know, you are also drunk, so maybe you are off fooling around with Rob. I don't know. Stop it. Let's just go.
You will dare say that to me?
Yes, I will. You are drunk. And
so if I was drunk, you're also drunk.
I was wasted.
And what does Rob have to do with this?
Because you were there laughing with him being all lovey-dovey.
He is our friend.
It's not a problem.
You
got me wasted. Listen.
Can you just keep quiet?
Okay. Say what you want to say.
All I want to say is, you stupid fool, that we are pregnant. I thought that you loved me. I thought that you cared for me. So we did what we did. But all that matters that this thing is yours. This is your stupid child.
Okay, here's the thing. Tell me the truth. I don't remember sleeping with you. Okay, you got me wasted.
Oh, no. So you're trying to say, because you don't remember, I got myself pregnant.
You know what happened during that party? You came with a cup, gave me a sip. And after that, that was it. That's all I remember. So please stop telling me these things that you...
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you saying these things to me?
Stop your jokes. Let's go.
We're not going anywhere if we don't get a solution for this.
You know I'll carry you out of that chair. Let's go.
It's fine. I will get out of the car.
Stop joking with me.
I'm not joking. Can we just get a solution for this?
Solution for what?
For this thing that I'm carrying. That is yours.
What are you carrying, Tiffany? A bag? Your phone? Because I know you're not sitting here. You have the guts to lie to me that you're pregnant. We did it once. Tiffany, it was once.
I even showed you the pregnancy test. Why would I lie about this? But why do you think I lied to you about this, Steve?
Stop it. Stop. Stop faking tears. Come on. It's a prank. You've got me. I'm annoyed. Hooray. You've achieved your goal. Let's go. Twende. Stop crying. Let's go. Let's go.
Can we just get options?
Options for what?
I'm not lying to you.
You're lying to me.
I don't want to fight with you. I don't want to argue anymore. Please, can we just get a solution for this?
Okay, fine. Here's the thing. I don't remember.
It's fine. You don't remember. I do not care. But we need to get an option for this because this child I'm carrying is yours, whether you like it or not.
Tiffany, you know that I love you, yeah?
Now you love me?
I love you so much.
No, now you love me.
I do. Listen to me first. Stop jumping into conclusions. I love you so much, yeah? But if this is a prank, Tiffany, Tiffany, I need you to be honest with me right now. Is this a prank?
Do you think this is TikTok that I'm pranking you? This is real life.
So you're pregnant?
I am pregnant.
With my baby?
With your child.
And you're sure?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so... Tiffany, this time you've taken it too far. This is too far.
Okay, can we
even for me.
Please, can we just come into... I don't care. It's you don't believe me. I get it, dude. But can we just get an option of this? I am pregnant. That's all I need to say. I have this thing that I'm carrying inside me that has terribly changed my life.
Tiffany, I don't know what to do when you come to me with that news. All I know is that I don't want to be a father. I just don't want to be a father.
Because you think I'm the one who asked for this?
You didn't. Maybe ask Rob that question. Okay. Are you sure it's mine?
So now we are back to Rob.
Are you sure it's mine? Are you sure it's mine, Tiffany? Are you positive it's mine? Answer my question and stop folding your fingers. Are you sure it's mine?
Why would I be here if it was not yours?
Okay, you know what? Just calm down.
If it was Rob's, I'll have gone to Rob.
Calm down and listen to me, Tiffany. Calm down. Calm down.
Please don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Calm down.
No, please.
Tiffany.
Don't touch me. Just...
Tiff.
I just want a solution.
Tiff.
No, please. Don't touch me.
Listen.
Please. No. Thanks.
Listen.
Thanks.
Okay.
Let's just get a solution to this.
Okay, I'm coming up with solutions. But do you listen to me first? You want to listen to me?
I will.
I love you, Tiffany. And if this thing is ours, we'll get options for it.
You have a funny way of showing it, but cool. Mm-hmm.
I love you so much. I know you don't believe it right now. I'm tired from yesterday. So if this thing is ours, I'll support you every way. Okay? But we need to consider our options. I'm not ready to be a father.
Okay, so what are our options? You keep on saying that. Give me options.
I'm just thinking we can have a fresh start, yeah?
Okay, we can go to therapy.
I don't mean it that way, Tiffany.
What do you mean?
We get a doctor who can help us have no baby anymore. Like get a new start. No baby, new relationship. That sort of thing.
Chill. What do you mean no baby?
Like get an abortion, Tiffany.
What?
I'm not ready to be a father, Tiffany. I'm not ready to be a father. Let's just do this, yeah? You're pregnant. You go get tested, yeah? We go, get a doctor, remove it, then we start fresh. Okay? Is that okay with you?
Let me think about it. I'm not going to make any decision
I don't want you to tell me you're thinking about it. I need an answer now. Right now, I need to make a decision.
Okay, can we just go see the doctor then?
But you're going to remove it, yeah?
Let's go see the doctor.
You need to tell me if you're going to remove it.
Okay, fine. Let's go see the doctor.
There's no point of me paying money you're not giving me what I want.
It's fine. We are going to go remove the child and then we remove each other from each other's life. Cool?
That's not what I mean.
No.
Tiffany.
Let's go.
Listen to me.
Let's go. No, that's it. Let's go.
You know I love you. Stop acting out. Relax.
Let's go.
Listen to what I have to say.
Okay.
I'm going to be with you every step of the way during that procedure. It's just a small thing. Relax. You're going to be okay.
I wish you're the one who was going through it for you to say it's just a small thing.
What do you mean you wish I'm the one who was going through this?
Yeah, I wish you're the one who was carrying this thing. But it's okay.
But I'm giving you an option not to carry it anymore.
Then let's go.
You're cool with that?
Let's go.
Come on. You're still mad at me.
Let's just go.
I'm not even seeing that smile you showed me at the party.
Let's go.
Stop being hypocritical. Come on.
Please, let's go.
Say you love me.
Let's go.
Say you love me.
Another day.
No.
Let's just go.
Then I know you're joking about the pregnancy. I know you're joking. If this is real, say you love me.
Okay, it doesn't matter who the father is. You've said there is a solution.
Yes.
There is a doctor.
Yes.
Then let's go.
Do you love me, Tiffany?
Yes, I love you, Dave. Let's go.
Are you going to stay with me, Tiffany?
I'm gonna stay with you forever. Let's go.
Fine, let's go. Okay. You're good? You have everything you have to carry with you?
Yes, I have everything. My bag is there. Everything is fine. Let's go.
Even your fake test?
Let's go.
Come on. Okay, you can carry that then. I think the doctor's place is just here. You good?
I'm good.
Okay, let's go.
I think I'm pregnant. What are my options? Did you know that you're 7 times more likely to hear this question than you are to know a person who's died from COVID? According to the WHO, every year in the world, there are an estimated 40 to 50 million abortions. So that means in a year, it could wipe out our entire country, Kenya. And this corresponds to approximately 125,000 abortions per day. So to break this down, This means that 1 out of every 3 women alive will have an abortion one day. And that 1 out of every 4 women under the age of 45 have already had an abortion. So it's a very relevant topic to all of us, because at some point we're all going to deal with this. It's going to be people we know, or sometimes it's even going to be us in that situation. So what do you do when you're told, I think I'm pregnant, what are my options? Before we start this, let's just pray that the Lord prepares our hearts and to receive this message, because it's a very sensitive topic. And depending on which side of the spectrum that you fall, people take such extreme positions on this. So if I were asked this question, where I would want to explore is, who is the father? And I don't mean that in like, who is the father of the baby? I mean, what is he? Is he human? Because science does say that creatures tend to produce after their own kind. So if the father is human, then the child is a human child. And if it's a human child, then the options are then limited to what you can do, because then the child is also protected by some laws as well. There has been a lot of talk in the media trying to redefine when life starts. So if the person is pregnant with a human child, is the human child alive? When does life start? Who gives life? Who gives life, and when is it given? So is it at 3 months? Is it at 6 months? Is it at birth? Let's see what the Bible says about this. Isaiah 44 verse 24 says, "This is what the Lord says, your Redeemer who formed you in the womb. I am the Lord, the maker of all things, who stretches out the heavens, who spreads out the earth by myself." So who gives life here? Isaiah tells us that it's the Lord who gives life. The psalmist in Psalm 71 verse 2 says, "Yes, you have been with me from birth. From my mother's womb you have cared for me. No wonder I'm always praising you." The psalmist here acknowledges that it's God who sustains life in the womb. And Jeremiah 1 verse 15 says, "I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart, and I appointed you as my prophet to the nations." So here we see throughout scripture that it's God who gives life. He fashions us in the womb. He sustains it within the womb, and he has a purpose for every life. So nothing takes him by surprise. What seems like an accident to us, to him, he foresaw it, and he gave provision for it by giving it purpose. So this reminds me of a story of someone in the Bible who actually went through the exact same thing. He put himself in a situation, and then there was consequences, and he decided to also on a course of action. So here we're going to read from 2 Samuel, verse chapter 11. So in the spring of the year, when kings normally go out to war, David sent Joab, the Israelite army, to fight the Ammonites. They destroyed the Ammonite army and laid siege to the city of Rabbah. However, David stayed behind in Jerusalem. I always find it very curious why the Bible doesn't actually say why David stayed behind. Was he sick? Because it was very unlikely for a militant king to stay home when there was war. So the first things first is that David was in the wrong place. So late one afternoon, after his midday rest, David got out of bed and was walking on the roof of the palace. As he looked out over the city, he noticed a woman of unusual beauty taking a bath. He sent someone to find out who she was, and he was told she is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Then David sent messengers to get her, and when she came to the palace, he slept with her. She had just completed the purification rites after having her menstrual period. She returned home later. When Bathsheba discovered that she was pregnant, she sent David a message saying, "I'm pregnant." So, Bible says Bathsheba was a woman of unusual beauty. I don't understand how the houses were built, the structure. I don't understand how David was able to see her taking a shower, taking a bath. It's a bit weird. Or maybe from his palace, there was somewhere he could stand on like a tower where he could see everything. That's, I don't know, I can't wrap my head around that. So yeah, he finds out she's married. Literally, like, David just ignores past that fact and then sends for her, and he sleeps with her. So what does David do when he's faced with this crisis? Because, like, basically what Bathsheba is saying is, I'm pregnant, what are my options? Like, you're the king, like, what do I do? I don't even think she had options, actually. If the king summons me and tells me, instructs me to do things, I think there's the power dynamic there that is also questionable. So David sent word to Joab, "Send me Uriah the Hittite." So Joab sent him to David. When Uriah arrived, David asked him how Joab and the army were getting along and how the war was progressing. He's pretending to care about what Uriah is doing. Then he told Uriah, "Go home and relax." Then David even sent a gift to Uriah after he left the palace. But Uriah didn't go home. He slept that night at the palace entrance with the king's palace guard. David devised a plan because he was faced in a situation where he did not know what to do. The shame of adultery in that time was very severe. So that would have meant that Bathsheba would have died because it was David's fault. And David's reputation himself would have been tarnished, because why would you sleep with a person who's in your army? First of all, I think they were friends. And why are you a married man, a king, taking advantage of women in your society? So David devises the plan, and his plan does not work because Uriah did not go home. He decided he was a noble man and he was going to stay and not engage in pleasures. He wanted to keep his mind on the war, because apparently your mind changes when you're in war and when you're at home. So there's some things that he didn't want to happen as well. So Uriah replied to David when David asked why he took so long why did he go home before the night before. So Uriah says, the ark and the armies of Israel and Judah are living in tents, and Joab and my master's men are camping in the open fields. How could I go home to wine and dine and sleep with my wife? I swear that I would never do such a thing. He's a very noble guy. So David says, stay here today, and tomorrow you may return to the army. So Uriah stayed and in Jerusalem that day and the next. Then David invited him to dinner and got him drunk. But even then, he would not go home to his wife. Again, he slept on the palace entrance with the king's palace guard. So the next morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and gave it to Uriah to deliver. The letter instructed Joab, station Uriah on the front lines where the battle is fiercest. Then pull back so that he will be killed. So Joab assigned Uriah to a spot close to the city wall where he knew the enemy's strongest men were fighting. And when the enemy soldiers came out of the city to fight, Uriah the Hittite was killed, along with several other soldiers. After this, David pretended to mourn for Uriah for a while. And after that, he took Bathsheba in, and Bathsheba became his wife. So how is this story relevant to abortion? What happened with David is usually what the 1 out of the 4 women do. You create a mistake. You don't create a mistake. You stumble upon a mistake, and then what happens is you try to cover that mistake. And when that doesn't work, people decide to take the course of action that David did. So what David did is David murdered Uriah. And I use murder very carefully, because people don't like to label abortion as murder. It's a very sensitive topic, and that's why we started to define where life begins. So if we have determined that the child is alive, then taking the child out of its habitation where we know the child would die, then that would be considered murder. What David did is what most of us do. We make a mistake and then we decide to cover for a mistake. So the point of this story is, we are not alone. We're not the first ones faced with this decision. Even David was a very morally upright guy. He had so many things at his disposal, yet he still had this thing that he wanted to get rid of, and he tried to devise ways of how he could do it, and he didn't find a way to do it. So he decided, I'm going to eliminate my problem. So people usually ask, don't women have a right to choose what happens to their bodies? And I would argue, yes, women do have a right to choose what happens to their bodies. But let's see what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 10, 22 to 24. He says, are we trying to provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible, but not everything is edifying. No one should seek his own good, but the good of others. So what Paul is actually saying in this verse is that in the context of abortion, your view on abortion is not just a choice that you're making about a child. It's a declaration that you're making about who your God is. So to say that a woman has a right to choose what happens to her body is essentially elevating a woman to the level of God. It's elevating her to the level of God enough to provoke the jealousy of God. So the woman in essence would be saying, I don't care about the child, I don't care about anybody else, I only care about me and what is right for me. If we look at society, the most inspiring people actually are the ones who put other people's need in front of theirs. That's why superhero movies will continually be made. No matter how many times we've seen Spider-Man, they keep remaking it. No matter how many times we've seen Superman, they keep remaking these hero movies. Because people love heroes. People love people who put other people in front of themselves, of their own needs. So, for example, a pilot who saves his own life at the expense of his passengers would never be declared a hero. That person actually would be persecuted, and in some cases, persecuted, in some cases, persecuted. I think the famous saying, a captain goes down with his ship, because your passengers come first. And if you're a person carrying a child, then you're the pilot, and the child is the passenger. But people also would ask this question: what about my future? I'm not ready to have a child. What's that going to happen? What about my parents? What will people say? Where will I get the resources if I'm not ready? The sad thing about abortion is that the same things that people say to justify abortion, they would never say them about justifying murder. Like, at no point would you ever say, this person is in the way, so I'm going to kill them. This person is a burden, so I'm going to kill them. This person is costly, so I'm going to kill them. I have a right to kill this person because it's my life, you know. The person had a tragic beginning. They remind me of my trauma. And about the trauma, it's like, yes, in some cases, abortion comes because people were raped. It's a traumatic situation. But then again, we'll go back to the question, what is the rape victim pregnant with? Are we then saying that children should pay for the parents' mistakes? And yes, rape is awful. It's traumatic, and we should always stand and empathize with the people who've been raped, and also sanction the rapists, and make sure there are harsher punishments for them. But then what are we saying about the child? Is that a justification just because there was a traumatic beginning to end someone's life because they began in a way that was not ideal? No one ever says that. So like, a child in the womb is not worth less value than that one outside the womb. Does your location affect your worth? That's one thing I would ask. Does your dependency on another person affect your worth? Does your beginning affect your worth? Does your size affect your worth? And does your formation affect your worth as well? If you answered no to these questions, you have to be consistent. You have to see that the child's worth does not reduce because of their locality, because they're not fully formed, because they're too burdensome, or because their beginning was too traumatic. So, like, what does this mean? Like, someone out there is sitting there and wanting to know, like, just because you know all these things, just because you know that God gave life, that God sustains life, that God has a purpose for life, what does that mean? Like, what are the options that I should choose? What we're saying is, there's going to be times where we're faced with difficult situations. You can choose to be like David. You can choose to be like David and decide you want the easy way out. And David did suffer the consequences for that as well. He lost a child, but God was able to redeem David. And so even if like life does not always look smooth, we will not always know what our future holds, and some decisions that we make have consequences, but those consequences don't have to be suffered alone. The minute we decide, I'm going to do what is right, I'm going to submit and surrender to God, then He always provides a way out. What we choose to do is we choose to trust Him. And if we do that, if we choose to trust that, you say from today onwards, my life is in your hands. So you decide the course of my life. God always comes through. Like with David and Bathsheba. After David repented, God blessed Bathsheba with another child. That was King Solomon. And King Solomon's kingdom was able to do far much greater things than David's did. So there's always redemption. God does not condemn any person. He just wants people to realize, to choose life, because He gave life. It's an abomination to the Lord. He tells us in Scripture, the blood of the innocent, spilling the blood of the innocent is an abomination to Him, because He gives life. And because He gives life, we should trust that He is enough to sustain life. I like David because David wrote in Psalms 32, blessed is the one whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sins are covered. Blessed is the one whose sin the Lord does not count against them, and in whose spirit is no deceit. When I kept silent, my bones wasted away. Through my groaning all day long, for day and night your hand was heavy on me. My strength was sapped as in the heat of summer. Then I acknowledged my sin to you, and I did not cover up my iniquity. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave the sin of my guilt. So David said he tried to hide his sin. He tried to hide it in silence because he was too ashamed of what he did. He was too ashamed to seek for help from anybody else. He had no strength because of the guilt of what he'd done. It all changed when he acknowledged his sin and he asked for forgiveness. I love that so much because that also means that there's redemption for those who've had an abortion as well. God is able to stand and say, I don't condemn you. What God wants to do is to convict us to righteousness. And the first thing that David does is he acknowledges his sin. So for those who've had an abortion, it's important to acknowledge that this is the thing I've done. And I know people like to say, like, let's not call it murder because we're trying to protect people from the guilt of what they did. But I disagree. I think guilt sometimes is important because when we feel guilty about something, we choose a different course. We choose to turn the other way because we remember how we felt when that thing happened. So David felt guilty and David repented. And the same thing is for you. When you acknowledge your sin, the Lord is able to redeem you. The Lord is able to restore. Proverbs 28 verse 13 says, people who conceal their sins will not prosper, but if they confess and turn from them, they will receive mercy. So God doesn't condemn you, God convicts to righteousness. The enemy is the one who condemns you. You don't have to live with the guilt by yourself. You can seek help, and you can use your life to just help someone else who's going through the same thing as well. And for those who are pregnant right now, you can also choose a different course. The option you can choose is to stay the course. The option you can choose is to find a group of people who will love you, who will support you, and who will walk this journey with you, because it's not a journey that you can walk alone. And sometimes you may choose to do it without the help of the Father, but God is the father to the fatherless. He always guarantees that. And I know the stories of so many people who've managed to do this, and they've done it so successfully. Like my own stepmother did it, and she did it by herself. And I think she's one of the greatest women I've ever known. So I think there's hope, and I think there's redemption only if you choose to accept it. Only if you choose Jesus, and only if you choose to have his heart, the heart that puts others above your own self. You will be able to get the redemption you need, and you'll be able to get the help that you need to work this cause. And we also offer here at MYF for those struggling with this to walk together with you. If you feel like you want to reach out to us, we invite you to reach out to us. We'll walk this journey with you, because it's not one that you can walk by yourself. And we promise to pray with you and to just hold your hand and to provide resources where resources are needed as well. And we love you, and we know that this is tough, but it's going to be okay. It is not the end of the road.
We've always assumed that abortion is a woman's thing. Let me share a man's perspective on this. And I'll begin this by sharing my own story. So I was an unplanned for child. So my mom and dad met when they were in college. And immediately after college, my mom left college when she was pregnant. And so the interesting part of this story is, when my mom followed up with my dad to know, how can we make this work now that there's a child coming. It ended up being a very interesting story that we've all had countless times. My dad was, at that particular point, he was not ready to be a dad. So he walked away and left a pregnant woman. And so the biggest thing that came out of that was, look at my life now. I'm so grateful that my mom never aborted me. And so putting myself at my dad at that particular age, having impregnated a young girl and just going through all these decisions that were in his mind at that young age was, I am not ready to be responsible. And I would feel him, because I would understand that thought line, of I'm now here and I'm not ready to be here. And so most men who find themselves in that position usually have to look for a solution. Any man's mind is, once a problem is presented to you, the first thing you look for is, how do we solve? And just like any other married man, I'm sure our wives have presented problems, and your mind is, how do you solve? Instead of listening. And so I'm sure that's what he might have gone through. How do I solve this? And his solution at that point was to walk away. And so most men who find themselves having impregnated women and then they're not ready to rise up to be a father at that particular point. Sorry, you fathered a child, but you're not ready to be a dad. So one of the biggest decisions that most men lean on to is, it's either you walk away or we go the abortion route. Or some just, let's abort this child. Because it will give me peace, it will give you peace. Unfortunately, most men who've taken that route, there's a pain that they go through that is so immense. The few that I've met, that up to today, they are still reeling through it. There's this man I know, and the other day he told me my son would have been 15 this year. And you can tell every time he sees a teenager, a teenage boy, you know, his mind races to that point where, you know, I could have had a teenager by now, but the decision I made 15 or 16 years ago, he's still reeling with it. And regardless of how much counseling you can go through, you know, some things only God can take away. And I pray for healing for him and for any other man who's watching this, that we serve a redeeming God, man. Someone who can just do the unimaginable, things that me and you never thought, like healing through that. So at this particular point, what I'll mention to that is there's always a way out. A problem shared is half solved. There's always a way out. So to all the men watching right here that either are thinking of abortion or have done it, a problem shared is half solved. I love you, man.